Coming into the TMCnet newsroom, I'm Carl Ford from the 4GWE and M2M side of the equation. We're here in our remote site in Boston and enjoying our company with Michael Grossi, Director of Altman Vilandrie, and his specialty is wireless, and particularly we talk about M2M, and we also talk about some stuff with location-based services, LBS. So first of all, Michael, welcome.
Thank you, Carl.
So let's start with the simple question, okay?
Okay.
Talk to me about how location-based services are kind of where we're at in the marketplace, or does every single carrier have them fully deployed? What's the expectation as to how people are going to start providing us new services?
Well, certainly location is the one application that mobile really is set up to exploit. And the carriers for years have been trying to find ways to grow that business. It first started in the enterprise side of things, on the business side for tracking of inventory and people and field forces. And now it's evolved now with so many apps providers, and now that we have open platforms and APIs, there's a number of third-party service providers that are set up, or application providers, that are really targeting this space full force and going after it within different segments of the market and applying it to different applications. And so the carrier, in this case, really has become more of the enabler, more of the platform through its network, its GPS capability within the phones, to really bring those applications and services to life. And so that's really where it's been focusing. And due to some privacy concerns, obviously it's almost letting those third-party application providers take advantage of the network capability within GPS to launch their own services.
Okay, and should we expect that these are going to be tied to app stores, or should we expect that by and large this will be as the carrier decides to do it with individual companies?
Well, certainly, we start first with the smartphone, right? And the smartphone has the right device, the right platform, the right user experience, large screen, to really start to consume these location-based services. So once you start from that and you start migrating towards the capabilities of the devices, now it's really an interesting proposition. And so, yes, you'll be able to find those applications either embedded on the phone, at the point of sale, but really more so, you're seeing it more through the app stores. And whether it's a utility-based app, say such as a simple example of GPS, Google Maps, that has kind of lowest common denominator in terms of its depth and breadth, it appeals to a large audience. And it's those utility-type services for location-based services that I think will be used by the masses. And certainly within other consumer segments, there'll be more specific social networking type of services like Foursquare, where I can actually sign in to my location. And then there's also the enterprise side of things. And the enterprise certainly is going to look to continue to use it as a way to cut costs, increase efficiencies through the movement of inventories, also the tracking of its field forces as well. But really as an enabler type of technology to improve efficiency, reduce cost. So really depending on which part of the segment or the market you're trying to go after, you're going to have certainly a number of different applications and services available.
So let's go over to one specific area, or
Okay.
more specifically, some technology, and let's talk about the M2M side of LBS. We mentioned remote access and remote asset management. Is that the primary place? Are we seeing telematics come into play here as well? Is there anyone dominating the field right now?
Yeah. Well, right now within telematics, within kind of the enterprise side, location-based services, it's a highly fragmented market. There's a number of different players providing services across the spectrum, and whether it's a railway application or whether it's a truck or logistics application. So there's really a number of different ways in which companies are going after it. The challenge with that is how do you roll it up and get scale? Certainly there's larger companies out there like Kronos and others that are trying to be more of a holistic telematics LBS provider. And certainly I think from a scalability standpoint there's a few of those out there that are set up to do that. But for the most part it's highly fragmented. And
we're talking in general about the location-based services. Is there any nuance as a result of moving to LTE or anything associated with that we get, like, I don't know, better location services or anything like that? Or Is it just the fact that we can have more intense data experiences?
That and less latency, but certainly the core technology with the location-based services is going to be the GPS chip, and whether or not the carrier is using location or user plane or control plane technology to get a more accurate fix is really where the difference is. But within the network standpoint, it's really just a speed and latency issue. Now, if you start moving heavier files versus light kilobyte files, then obviously you're going to get more leverage from an LTE.
Okay, so you're going to be with us in Miami in February when we talk about M2M and also location-based services.
Yes.
For GWE. So, quick question for you. In general, what do you like in the marketplace right now? What do you think is going to be the trends that we should watch for the next couple of, well, almost weeks before we get down to Miami? So.
Okay. Well, the big thing I'd be looking for is who can start to exploit local-based search and overlap that with location-based services, overlap that with mobile advertising, and forth through couponing. So kind of the intersection of all four of those to me is interesting, where you actually can stimulate demand or stimulate consumer activity, actually do something that maybe they weren't going to do otherwise because they were mobile, because they were within a certain location. So I think from a retailer standpoint, there's some interesting things that I think there's been a number of doing some pilots this holiday season, and I think maybe we'll start to see some of the results of that on the consumer side. So I think that's something that's pretty interesting. We'll see in the near term.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense to me. I thank you for that. Good insight. So if people want to find out more about how to engage you in consulting and the other services that Altman Vilandrie does, how do they reach you?
Well, certainly you can come to our website at www.altvil.com, or certainly you can reach out to me via email at mgrossi@altvil.com.
Great. Michael, thank you so much.
Carl, thank you. My pleasure.